Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and I'm actually kind of excited. Excited is probably not the correct word in this, but I am pleased to have learned that both the NBA and the National Basketball Players Association has been in the works to develop a plan together, which is really nice because I think that Commissioner Silver and the president of the Players Association, Michelle Roberts, are very proactive, and I believe that they are very aware and that they are very good about taking the needs of both the players on and off the court into consideration in all aspects of life. So with that being said, I, again, am very pleased to have learned that they are in the works to develop not only a plan by themselves, but in conjunction with the players before season starts on the potential situations that could arise. So now we all know by now, because it's kind of like sweeping the nation in football, both at the professional, collegiate, and now even high school levels, that players are protesting due to social issues, and they're kneeling. And it's happening across other sports as well. It's also happened with soccer, professional soccer. It's taking, the professional athletes are taking a stance and they're kneeling during the national anthem. Now, whether you agree or disagree with what they are doing, that's and that's your opinion. That's fine. Totally fine. But what I want to discuss is the fact that the Players Association and the NBA are working together to kind of outline a plan. Now, it is against the rules in the NBA to kneel or to not stand for the national anthem. It's against the rules. So that's that. Okay, that's a rule. They're not planning on changing that rule anytime soon. That is what the rules have been before all of this. So that's just a standard that they have set for the players. Okay, with that being said, they are also trying to, because now with the SB Awards and with other players trying to conduct town hall meetings, and there's a lot of basketball players who are involved and socially aware. And they try to use their platforms to show what they stand for and to use their celebrity and their publicity to bring awareness to whatever social issues it is that they believe in. And so they are trying to work and develop programs because the NBA and the Players Association wants to make sure that the players, we don't want them violating rules. Now, like I said, standing up for the anthem is a rule. So we don't want players getting fined for that. But then we also don't want to, and I like that Silver doesn't mute the players and doesn't allow them to be socially aware and to handle things. Now, we did discuss previously in a previous episode that there were players of the WNBA that have worn they changed their uniforms. They wore black shirts. Some of them even this past weekend were kneeling during the national anthem. There hasn't been any repercussions of that as of yet. If there will be any, they kind of have, the WNBA has kind of let them have their space when it comes to that. They haven't really commented or decided what they're going to do. I think that they're kind of going to leave that alone. But with that being said, the NBA wants to kind of like to stop the problem before it becomes a problem, which is totally fine, by opening a discussion and letting the players kind of decide. And they want to collaborate with not only the the Players Association, but with the players to decide like what can we do to build a better trust between the police departments, especially in the cities that have basketball teams. And that's what they are mostly worried about. And so they sent out a letter to all the players, and ESPN was able to obtain one of these letters, but they want to take meaningful action in NBA cities in the wake of unrest in the country over police shootings and related incidents, end quote. And so they want to build, like they want to have these discussions to continue like the trust between the players, the communities, the fans, the organization. So I think it's a really good concept, and I'm very proud of them wanting to discuss this problem before it becomes a problem and before we start getting mad or what have you, if you are mad, depending on your stance on everything, on ways that, so that the players don't feel like they're being told what to do, I guess, but they're also giving a chance to, you know, make some impact and make change, especially in the communities that they are playing in, and communities that have fans that love and look up to these players as role models. So like I said, there has been some discussions with that. There's a letter that's gone out. So we're going to see how that plays out, and hopefully everything is handled. Again, like I said, they're planning on having everything handled by the start of season. Now training camp is coming up, so that's going to add in some disruptions to, you know, this talk, but they are taking a very proactive stance, and they're wanting to develop some rules and some things. I don't know if it's necessarily rules, but just to develop ways so that nobody feels excluded, and that the players feel, the ones that feel that they need to take a stance are able to, you know, voice their opinion so that they're not muted, again, like I said, but that we are also abiding by the association's rules, as well as not creating kind of like a negative look. You know, it's good that they're discussing these things, because people have not been, I know that there's some people that have not been happy with the NFL and what some of those players are doing. But so that's that on the Players Association. And again, I applaud Silver and Roberts for being proactive about things and not just ignoring the fact that this most likely would have and is going to, you know, feed over into the NBA, and to kind of, you know, it was started by the NFL, but like I said, there are players that are following suit, and they just want to make sure that they have this all under control by the time that basketball season starts, which hopefully there will be a really positive compromise so that players are able to stand up and use their celebrity. Because we always say that my favorite quote, and I've said this before in an episode, much is given to those, much is expected from those, much is given. And we expect these guys to be role models and to stand up for certain things and to use their platforms for good. But then sometimes we get mad when they do use their platforms. So I think it's really nice that the NBA wants to allow the players to use their platforms, but wants to work with them. So, which I think is, I think it's good. I actually really do like it. And I like that they're starting these talks before people get mad and before violations happen. Like, I just think it's really good to kind of be responsive instead of reactive. So that's my piece on that with all of that. And I do want to also discuss Paul George, because, you know, I like comeback stories. And so Larry Bird has really been cool these last few weeks in his last talks about Paul George. So I want to discuss that. I also want to discuss Chris Bosh and his situation with the Miami Heat, because like I said, training camp is coming up, and the Heat and Chris Bosh are still in a rock in a hard place, as well as some very exciting news when it comes to a new Nike sponsored tournament that is going to be starting Thanksgiving of 2017. So for all of us college, you know, March Madness fans, there's something that I'm very excited to share with you. So as well as marriage proposals, Georgetown marriage proposals. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline. And when we come back, I promise you, we have a lot more fun and entertaining things to talk about, as well as some, like I said, Paul George. I'm really excited to talk about Paul George. So keep it locked here on the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching.
Hey!
The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch, whatever it may be.
And welcome back. I'm your host, Pauline. Now, so Paul George, he is with the Indiana Pacers, and we all know that we were very excited just a few episodes ago when I was discussing how he was coming back and playing for the Team USA, and he won a gold medal there because if we rewind, we know that he had that horrific, potentially career-ending injury when he was with Team USA. So it was kind of like a full circle for him this past summer in Rio. And last season he had, I'm gonna say it, he had his best season. And this past season with the Pacers, they went to the playoffs. He was averaging a little over 23 points and 7 rebounds a game. And he's come back better than ever. And he's come back, and it's almost like I said, better than ever. It's almost like he is a whole new revamped 2.0 version of himself, which is awesome because sometimes when you face an injury, even if you are able to come back and play, you just don't got it like you used to have it. And so I'm very excited for him because, so the president of the Pacers is Mr. Larry Bird. Now, Larry Bird is, I'm just so excited for Paul George. I really am, because so Paul right now, he's a 3-time All-Star gold medalist. He's great. He's a great player. And he has right now a max deal through the 2018-2019 season. So he's already basically, getting his money, which is great because like I said, they're showing their investment in Paul George and showing that the franchise stands behind him. But okay, so I'm just really excited. I can't get it out. Like I feel like I have a lot to say about this and it's just like not coming out. So he has said whenever Paul George wants an extension on his max deal, that it's there for him, and that he wants Paul George to know that there's nobody else contending for his spot. He has nothing to worry about. They believe in him. They respect his play. They respect him as a player. They respect him as an athlete. They respect the contributions that he brings not only to the team, but also to the franchise. And that he just got to say the word, basically. So he just got to let them know, I want more. And Larry Bird even did, he admitted that when that time comes for that extension and things like that, that Paul George, he's probably going to want a lot more money. He's going to want the money. He's going to, because especially following suit with everybody else, he's going to feel that he is worth more because of the type of money that everybody else is getting. And so Larry Bird understands that. And he says he's willing to pay him, that he has no problem paying him whatever it is, basically whatever it is that he wants, and that they're willing to do what they need to do to keep him on the team and to extend his contract at that time when it's time for that. And it's really nice because Paul George has also said that he really appreciates after, during the off season with some of these trades and other players that they're bringing on board, that he really appreciates that the Pacers are not letting him waste away these next few years, and that they're not, because he understands, he's one of those guys that does understands that there's not a forever in basketball, and especially after an injury like the one that he has recovered from. He understands that at any moment, you can be that, you know, your body is what you need in sports, especially at this level. And so he does understand that that could be taken away just by accident as well. But he appreciates all the talent that the Pacers have surrounded him by, and that they're looking to build, and that he likes it. He is excited for the future with this franchise. So it looks like this little marriage with the Pacers and Paul George is going to last a really long time. And I'm really excited to see him grow and continue to get better, and seeing them perhaps, you know, deeper in the playoffs as these next seasons go by, and that he's going to be settled in there, and that he will be able to grow financially wise as well as athletically. He's just continually, it seems, to get better and better and better. And he's the kind of guy that we see is willing to put in the hard work to get better despite any obstacle that he faces. So that's my piece on Paul George. I'm very excited for him. I'm very excited to watch him play this season, because I think he's going to have another great season. It's just going to continue to get better and better. But on the flip side now, Chris Bosh has also suffered not really an injury. It's actually something that is potentially life threatening. He had to sit out for the rest of the season last season in the winter time. So he wasn't even really able to finish last season because he suffers from blood clots. And what it is when it comes to Chris Bosh is that this situation that he is dealing with right now is actually life threatening, and which in itself is very scary. And he is the remaining of the big three when it comes to Miami Heat. Bronny is gone. Wade is gone, but then we still have Bosh. But he right now, they're kind of dealing with some problems, him and the Heat, because one, he hasn't been cleared to be unrestricted as far as his play has gone. And so like the last few months, he has been working very hard to prove that he's healthy, to prove that he's still strong, that his endurance, his stamina, his athleticism, everything is still up to par. But there are some discussions with the franchise because, one, it is a life-threatening situation that he is dealing with, as well as his... Okay, so it's life-threatening. And when people suffer from this, they don't play sports because it adds to it and it makes it a little bit worse. So that's not good, right? But he has to be evaluated by the doctors, the Heat doctors. They have to kind of like clear him and all of these things. And he feels like they're not clearing him. Okay, because, you know, now Chris Bosh, he still has a few years left in him, and he's a competitor. And I get it. He wants to leave on his own terms. He doesn't want to be told that he can't play anymore, especially when he feels good and when he thinks that these workouts are going well and when he thinks like he still has so much more to give to the game. So I get that. I really do. But then on the other side, it's like, this is your life. This is not just basketball. It's literally your life at stake. And so the Miami Heat, the doctors over there and the franchise over there is kind of apprehensive, rightfully so. But I always have to put in the business side when it comes to these situations, because, you know, money is the motive when it comes to a lot of things. And not taking away from Chris Bosh or anything that he's dealing with. But so he has been welcomed to training camp with the Heat, but he hasn't been cleared for long term. So, and he still has 3 years and guaranteed $75 million left on his contract. So that's a lot of money. And so he would still, so here's when it gets like the business side. So he could be taken off the cap, like his contract would not count towards the Heat's cap, and he would still be paid if he's declared disabled. So he would still get his money. It wouldn't really affect the Heat's salary cap when it comes to other players and things like that. But he would be declared disabled. So, but on the other side of that, if Bosh plays 10 plus games, they wouldn't get any relief in the 2017-2018 season, any cap space, any salary relief. So that's where I think it gets kind of sticky, because it's like, okay, so yes, Chris Bosh's situation is potentially life-threatening, and we already went, like, that was a scary time, especially this past winter when he was going through all of that. But he claims that he's healthy and that he claims that he's ready. And I think Chris Bosh understands the business side, that the Heat may just declare him disabled. He'll still get his money, and they think that, that would be kind of like a parting gift, and it wouldn't affect them salary wise. But then if he only plays just a minimum, if he plays at least 10 games, then that's going to mess up their money as far as for the 2017-18 season. And he's still kind of like a liability, because we still don't know if this is last winter was the second time that this was a problem for him. So it could be, it's not really a problem that goes away. He would have to take like blood thinners and things like that if he was cleared. So I think it may be a business situation now. So I think Chris Bosh is also, he's a smart man. He's been in the game. He's been in this business. He understands when it comes to money. I think he's a really smart guy when it comes to that, and salaries and contracts and all of that. And I'm not telling him anything that, his team is not telling him as well, but it could just be a money thing, that he just might not get cleared just because of the money. And so I'm interested to see, because it's kind of getting dragged out. Like I said, training camp is starting for the teams and things like that. He is cleared to do training camp. I don't know, because even if he does show out and do well, I don't know. We'll see with the Heat, what they decide to do with Chris Bosh. It'll be kind of sad. Either way, it's sad. If he's told he can't play anymore, especially when he's a guy that really wants to play and things like that, and still has so much left in him and has been working towards getting back out on the court, especially in a competitive fashion. It is kind of sad to see, but then it's also, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But we're going to have to cut it to a quick break. And when we come back, I want to tell you guys about the new Nike sponsored basketball tourney that's going to be starting again in 2017, as well as Georgetown and some of the fun things that they're going to be doing over there marketing wise. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch, whatever it may be.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and we are getting ready to wrap up this episode, so I kind of wanted to wrap it up on some fun and exciting news for us basketball fans, and some kind of just other news that's basketball related, but not basketball news-ish, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. So, basically, there is going to be, so everybody loves March because it's March Madness, and I think that March Madness is probably the best basketball that you can watch. And then it's the whole anything could happen. I love the upsets. I don't love it when my bracket gets busted in the first round. Michigan State, but I do love it when you get to just watch all the fun and you get to see these tournaments and you get to see these players compete, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for fans. It's even fun, I think, for people who aren't really that big on college basketball, because it's just like a fun time and whatever. So like I said, anything can happen, but we usually have to wait for March Madness. So you have to go through the entire basketball season to get to March Madness. And then it feels like March Madness goes by so fast. And I always wish that we could have March Madness throughout the year. So, the basketball the basketball beings that be have decided, okay, so starting November 2017, so next year, which is not really far away, it's going to go by really, really fast, right? During Thanksgiving week, there is going to be the first ever Phil Knight Invitational, and it's going to be sponsored by Nike. So these are all going to be like teams that are like, you know, sponsored by Nike and all of that. So it's going to take place during Thanksgiving week, and ESPN will broadcast the event. And the cool thing is that it's going to feature 16 teams that have been sponsored by the apparel company that together for the first one together, all of these teams have 23 national championships. Isn't that cool? So like, these are like top programs that we know are high competitors, and we get to see them play against each other. So it's kind of like a Sweet 16. But here's the thing. So it's not really, it's not bracketed the way that the Sweet 16, like the knockout style one and done type thing. But instead, it's going to be, I quote, divided into 2 8-team events in which teams will each play 3 games. And then the 2 bracket champions will play for the championship. So it's really, really cool. So let me just tell you some of the teams. So it's been confirmed that both Duke and North Carolina are going to take place, and but then some of the other teams that are supposed to be participating in this are also going to be Georgetown and Butler. There's going to be Ohio State, Texas and Oklahoma, Florida and Arkansas, as well as Oregon and Stanford, Gonzaga, Portland, UConn. It's going to be a lot of fun. Portland State's also going to be in it. And so, but if you didn't notice, so Kentucky is not going to be participating in this invitational this year, and it's not because they didn't want to, they didn't get invited, whatever. It's mostly just due to scheduling conflicts, so they have said. And that was tweeted out by Coach Calipari. He was saying, unfortunately, scheduling conflicts did not allow us to be a part of the Phil Knight Invitational. So, but whatever, it's still going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be kind of cool to see, you know, just to have this new invitational. And I told you guys that I love these tournaments during the season, you know, like during preseason tournaments and postseason tournaments. It's a lot of fun, so we don't have to wait till March. Like, we can get it in November. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be, again, in honor of Phil Knight, who is a great contributor. So I'm just really excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to give us a lot of kind of just like a preview for what potentially could be taking place in March. And so it's also 2 teams per the conference, that type of a thing. So that's another reason why there was some speculation as to why Kentucky wasn't going to be participating, but it's just due to scheduling conflicts, according to their head coach. So that is that with that. And that's going to be kind of cool because, you know, Nike is sponsoring this, and they're giving the people what we want. We want more March Madness. So it's going to be kind of like a little mini Thanksgiving Turkey Madness. We can call it Turkey Madness or Turkey Trouble, Turkey something. I don't know. I don't know. I try to do something clever, but you know, I'm mostly just more corny. But anyways, so moving on. So speaking of something else that's trying to be clever but kind of corny, I don't know. So Mark Wahlberg is joining LeBron James in a new, it's supposed to be a movie. It's going to be like a comedy. It's called so it's a basketball fantasy camp movie, and they had tossed around having like Kevin Hart in it because they wanted to be a comedy, and he was supposed to be like a brother, I believe, of a NBA star. But then now they're saying that Kevin Hart isn't a part of it. It's going to be Mark Wahlberg and LeBron James, but the name of the movie is Ballers. I mean, I'm probably still going to see the movie because I'm interested in this kind of stuff. And if it's going to be a comedy, you know, it's going to be funny and all of that. And I love LeBron James. So I'm just going to go because I saw Trainwreck only because Braun was in it. So, but I don't like the name Ballers. There's already a show called Ballers, and it's football and it's The Rock. Like, and really, like, I know it's about basketball players, but like, really, can we get any more, less original. So I would appreciate it if they could perhaps change the name if it's not really final. That's just my take on that, because I'm over things being called ballers or whatever, or hoops. I don't know. I just feel like you could have just got a more clever name than ballers, but whatever. So that's going to come out, and they are starting that, and it's supposed to be following like a week in fantasy camp and things like that. So we'll see. I don't know. They don't know yet if there's going to be, if Mark Wahlberg will be part of the production team, if Braun's going to be part of the production team, not quite sure. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I'm sure it's going to be funny. LeBron's actually pretty funny. I think so. I thought he was funny in Trainwreck. I thought he was really funny in Trainwreck. Some of the things, like, he just played himself basically. So that's not too hard. But so I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that. Again, like I'm just saying, I just don't like the name. I really don't. I mean, I can't think of a better name. I really can't. But somebody is getting paid to think of a name, and they just thought of ballers. And I don't think that that's fair, because I could have thought of ballers, or we could have just called it fantasy, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe change it to fantasy. That's even better. But anyway, so before I wrap up this episode, I did want to talk about another thing where people are trying to be clever, but it may not be that clever. But hey, I don't know. So Georgetown is another great basketball powerhouse, but they always do now marketing departments at universities, and even with professional teams, they kind of like to do something different every once in a while to kind of spark more interest, to bring in more crowds, to bring in a different fan base, all of that. It's cool. It's fun. They can be as fun, wacky, as cool as whatever they want to do. But Georgetown has, so Georgetown's athletics marketing head is Chris Gross, and he is starting a new concept, which is, it's like a proposal package. So you can pop the question at a Georgetown game, and included with this, and now these packages start as low as $100, which is kind of cool if you're kind of trying to do something memorable but not spend too much money. Like, I get it. I'm sure the packages, depending on what else you want included, tax on more things. But basically, a package you can get included with one of these packages. I'm not sure the pricing for each individual package, so don't quote me on anything. It just says that it starts at $100. But so you can have like a proposal planner, so that you can decide how you're going to pop the question, and you can, there's 2 seats for the couples, additional seats across the arena for guests. So then that way, if you don't want your like significant other, like your partner, to know that you're about to pop the question, because if I was at a game and like I saw like a lot of my family and stuff, I'm like, what are you guys doing here? You guys don't even like basketball that much. But so you can have them across the way so that they can still see it, but they're still kind of like hidden, as well as you can get like custom engagement t-shirts for the couple. Also, there's going to be a photographer available, so like you can catch everything, which I thought was a pretty good idea, because you want to capture the moment. And the kind of cool thing about this, which I just thought was kind of funny, is that there's a money back guarantee. So if for some sad reason the person that you ask to marry you says no, because you're giving them that option, it's a yes or no question, you get your money back. So either you pay for the package and you get a new fiance, or if they say no, which I really hope, that's a lot of pressure, because that's a lot of people at these games, and I would just feel like I'm kind of like obligated to say yes. But people can say no. It's kind of embarrassing, kind of awkward, especially if you are at the game together. But you get your money back, so no loss, I guess. Your heart, I mean, I don't know. My heart would be broken. I don't know if you can ever pay enough money or give me enough money if my heart is broken on TV. Well, I don't know if it's going to be on TV. It's probably not going to be on TV, but I'm sure it's not going to be on TV if they say no, maybe if they say yes, but I'm sure it's going to be on the Jumbotron. When I go to games and people propose, they put it on the Jumbotron. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of like a fun idea. I don't know if I would really want to get proposed to at a Georgetown basketball game. I don't know. Maybe if my my boyfriend was like a former Georgetown player, or some way. I guess for me, it's just because I'm not connected to that school in any fashion. So that doesn't really make sense for me to get proposed to at a Georgetown basketball game. But I know that there's some diehard fans, both male and female, that would love that. So it's kind of a cool concept. We'll see as the season progresses to see how, successful this marketing strategy is to bring in more people and things like that. And who knows, it might catch on. Maybe it'll be a thing because, people want to get proposed to or want to propose to people at, professional games, college games. I've even seen or heard of people doing it at high school games. I don't know. So whatever you into, it's just, I don't know. Maybe because I'm just not tied to Georgetown like that. So it doesn't really like turn me on as far as like thinking that it's a great idea, but it's not a bad idea because I'm sure there are lots of people, and depending on the seats, I'm sure I don't know. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see. I kind of want to call them and just ask about the packages and see what else we can get included, because like I'm wondering, can I get like courtside seats? Can we take like pictures in the locker room? Can I take pictures on the court later? Can I take pictures with the mascot? Because if I get proposed to and I say yes, I want pictures with everything and like everywhere, especially if you're like a diehard Georgetown fan, maybe like with the players. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there that's some possibilities. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't called them to see what all packages that they have to offer. But yeah, so that's going to be that. That's going to be the end of our episode here with the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline. And like always, you can listen to this episode all over again. You can listen to future and past episodes on our network website, which is Golden State Media Concepts. Oh, no, that's not the website. Oh, that's wrong. Don't do that. Go to GSMCpodcast.com. You can also listen to these episodes again on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. All you got to do is just look up GSMC and you'll see all of the other podcast shows that we have to offer. GSMC Network has a little bit of something for everyone. So keep it locked here. I'm your host, Pauline, and when we do the next episode, I'll have some more news for you on the basketball home front. So keep it locked. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your forever. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.